Welcome back for another episode of Wrist Check Pod. Tonight, we have a very, very special guest.
Very, very special.
On the couch. We've got an entrepreneur, a music executive, creative. We have Matthew Baus.
What's good? What's good? What's good?
Bad Habit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Big bad.
Big Bad Habit. Let's go. So tonight's going to be fun. We're going to get into your background. You brought some watches with us, which I'm very excited to get into these too. But as is tradition, before we get started, we have to have our honorary wrist check.
Yes.
As is tradition, we start with the man sitting across from me, the man who never repeats a watch, Rashawn Smith. What do you got on the wrist today, sir?
You putting in work over there.
Yeah.
He's repeated watches.
So, yes.
He's repeated.
I have repeated a few watches. Sadly, I am repeating a watch.
See? Okay.
You
already put you down.
For a couple episodes, I did share some new watches. I actually have another watch on the way. So there is.
Okay. Let them know. Let them know. There's one coming.
I'm still trying to retain the title. But tonight, I am wearing the trusty Cellini.
Woo!
Okay.
Nice.
On the black strap, of course, rocking, the Bape hoodie. You got to do it all black, whatever. I felt like very, very emotionally connected to this watch today. Okay. It just really felt like putting it on. I was hanging out with my wife all day today, so shout out to my wife, Mary. This was the watch that I actually got married in. And I've shared this story quite a few times that I actually acquired this watch around the same day that I got married. So I got married on September 1st, and I believe that I purchased the watch.
Was that your wedding gift to yourself?
No, it wasn't. It just turned out. It was.
You mean
that.
It coincided on the same day?
It coincided on the same day
because you purchased that the same day, but a year
times before. Okay,
yes.
okay.
Yes,
you meant right before the wedding.
Right before the wedding. So this watch, every time I look down at it, it just makes me think of so many great memories. Just where I was in time from first acquiring it to getting married in it.
Yeah, you got to throw that back on the pink strap, man.
Mary hates it. I want to put it on.
We may have to have a talk with Mary after the show.
Yes, I believe so.
Lizard skin strap?
Yes.
Yeah, you got to fix that.
I'll go next. I'm wearing not a new watch, but new to the show. I don't think anyone has seen this yet. This is a Black Bay 58 Tudor with a little extra sauce on the dial. This was a gift from my dear friends Eric Wind and Charlie of Wind Vintage. They surprised me just days before Christmas with a gift. And this came about because I was actually, when we had Ben Clymer on the show, we were talking about Eric's article in Esquire.
Okay.
And they did this article on him calling him the vanguard of vintage, the $1 million dealer.
Yes.
And so we mentioned it to Ben, and he kind of got a laugh out of that. So I sent a clip to Eric, and Eric thought it was so funny that when he sent me the watch, he sent me $100 bill signed the $100 dealer, telling me to enjoy the watch. So he has a clothing brand called Rolling Blazers. They do a number of collaborations with watches and stamp the dials. But very, very rare that you can get a Tudor dial stamped, especially one without any of the feet or meters underneath the shield and just the emblem like that in hot pink, no less. So if you're watching or listening, thank you, Eric. Thank you, Charlie. Keeping this forever.
That's not the watch that you ever were able to buy from Rolling Blazers either, is it?
This is not this is a family and friends special.
Yeah, so that's on the low.
This is exactly.
that ain't $100.
You are not going to see this out in the wild unless you know someone who knows Eric or Charlie. Yeah.
Priceless.
Yeah. This episode of WCP is sponsored by Bezel, a trusted marketplace for buying and selling watches. With over 18,000 and counting watches listed from both private sellers and professional dealers, you have your pick of the litter from brands like Rolex, AP, Patek, and more. Bezel is one of the highest rated marketplaces for watches. Inside the Bezel app, you can make offers on watches, buy them outright, bid at auction, all with confidence knowing each timepiece is authenticated by an in-house team of experts. For more information, visit getbezel.com or search Bezel in the App Store and download the app today. Ben, what do you got on the wrist tonight?
I wore it on the show when we had BK on. I figured it was also fitting to wear it again. It's the JLC Reverso Mono Face. I actually didn't realize I had it flipped, so I can't even tell you the time. Silver guilloche, dial in the middle, blue steel hands, black Arabic numerals. It's the ultra thin mono face too, so it's the one from
Is
I don't know, maybe
yellow gold or
7,
rose
8 years
gold?
ago. It's yellow. It looks
Yeah.
rose, but it's
It's
old
got a little
gold.
patina on it.
It's old gold, so
Mhm.
it has some patina on it. It looks a little rosy, but it's yellow.
So it's not that one that Lenny Kravitz's been wearing lately.
It's the same metal, same watch, but he got the crazy big boy.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, he got the
his
skeleton
Yeah,
thrown
he's
on
got
the
the-
joint.
It look like you about to start walking up the pyramids.
Yeah, it was wild. That's a fun one though. I seen that in person. It's crazy.
No, it's a big boy.
But yeah, it's chunky.
Yeah.
All right, that's sick.
Yeah.
Our guest of honor, Matthew, what are you wearing tonight?
So this is my day-to-day, the Cartier Tank Musk Ghostface.
Classic piece.
Yeah, it's actually, I mean, this is mad sentimental because me and my business partner, we got them for each other basically.
Oh, nice.
And it was just like, I think we had just gotten like a big check or something. I think we read up our deal. And it just was like one of those times where like,
Celebrate.
yeah, you celebrate and you just like, you know, thank each other for everything you've gone through to get to that point. And it wasn't some crazy thing, but I was like, I wanted this watch bad. Like I seen it and I was just like, I like simple.
When this first dropped, this was like a heater. Everybody was having it. It was hard to get.
Yeah, no. It was like, even when we had to get it, I think we waited maybe 3 months for it to come.
Wow.
Yeah. Because I had somebody to get it from Cartier, but it's still like it was a process.
Yeah.
But I love this watch.
That was a classic piece, black on black.
Yeah, black on black, that whole ghost face, nothing on the dial. Obviously the sapphire crown. I think I'm gonna get the date we started our company like etched in the back.
That would be tight.
Yeah,
I would love to see one of these actually with their dial stamped too. I think.
Yeah.
What if you did like a
if I
bad habit
on it, like
On
if I can
the
get
dial,
the fucking like
that
a
would
little
be
BH
crazy.
strip, that would go crazy. I might have to.
That
do
might
that.
be the move.
Yeah, I think that might actually be the way. All right, I'm gonna try that.
There we go.
Yeah, that's hard.
All right, so getting into things. We mentioned you being an entrepreneur, being involved in the music business.
Mhm.
You have your company Bad Habit.
Yep.
Which is, correct me if I'm wrong, management, media, production,
Label, publishing, distribution.
all of the above. Responsible for acts like G-Eazy, Burna Boy, and more.
Yep.
What led you to launching Bad Habit?
Well, I mean, my whole life I've been completely engaged, enamored, driven by popular culture, entertainment, music, dance, film, art. Both my parents are from third world countries, so a lot of what I learned about being American came from what they kind of fell in love with in popular culture. Like my mom was from Iran, but she grew up on like James Dean and Marilyn Monroe and Michael Jackson and Prince and all that. So she was putting me onto that. And then my dad, he kind of learned the Black experience or like how to be Black in America through, what he could find in Black culture. So it was like, he listened to Kumo D and LL Cool J and Public Enemy and
where was this taking place at?
So my dad, they both met in, my dad's from Nigeria, my mom's from Iran. And then they both met in LA.
In Los Angeles.
Yeah. So my dad got in a motorcycle accident. My mom was a nurse. And that's how they had that. But they both left their respective countries as a mom, basically as a refugee, because she's Armenian from Iran. So when the Shah got ousted and they got taken over, they no longer accepted all religions.
Right.
So Armenians are traditionally Christian, so she had to find a way out, her and her whole family. And then my dad, similar story when the military coup in Nigeria, he just applied for a green card and won the lottery.
Wow.
And then, and they both, my mom was an artist, my dad wanted to be a director, and they just met in a car crash. Motorcycle crash. So yeah,
that's so wild. And so you got
their influence and the things that they the things that they were impressed by, they put on to me.
They got into you, and you got that creative bug.
Yeah, so that was just on me from when I was when I was a little kid, and the school I went to in LA and the kind of people I grew up around, I was just naturally just infected by the importance of art in influencing how people think on a mass level.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And both my parents were just about helping other people, and I could see how art was so important, how you can change how people think and how culture moves and how how things move forward in a lot of ways. So,
Right.
and I was never going to be a politician. So,
Yeah.
and then as I got older, I realized politicians
Yeah.
ain't even trying to help nobody anyway. So,
I mean, we could talk about it.
yeah, we can go there. But no, for me, that's what, that was always been the big driver, is like
Right.
trying to bring support to the people that can bring change.
And what did the city of LA do for you in terms of you forging and you know, your creative path?
Damn, I mean, so much.
Yeah.
Like, I think, like I said, the school I went to, like half the year was it was like a performing arts school, I guess, from preschool.
Mm-hmm.
So that every year there was like a winter recital and a spring recital where everybody had to be a part of like building the production of the sets,
Right.
to learning how to fucking dance or sing or however you were a part of the production. And you're doing that from preschool all the way to 8th grade.
Yeah.
So I was around so many kids that were really, really talented. My best friend was really the first artist I ever managed.
Okay.
I just remember when we were maybe 6 years old, I was like, this guy's way better than us. Everything. Like, he could sing better than us, he could dance better than us. He's just like, and I think that was the beginning of me kind of just, I guess, being able to spot talent and then help being able to foster and nurture and be a part of the storytelling process.
You had something?
So diving into, you know, your early childhood, right? It's very clear that you knew who you were from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Deciding to say, well, yes, maybe I am talented. Maybe, you know, I can sing, I can dance, I could do these things, but you're like, that's not me.
Yeah.
How did you make that pivot, or were you kind of like influenced? How were you influenced to make the pivot?
Yeah, I think over time, because I mean, obviously, like I said, like that went till 8th grade. So I had to do all, you know, be a part of it all up until 8th grade. And I was even doing stuff outside. Like, my parents always kept us super active. I was playing sports, like basketball, my whole life. But then on the other side, from, I don't know, like improv to dance to like learning how to produce and all that, my parents kind of just kept us really active and staying out of trouble.
Right.
So just doing a bunch of stuff. But I mean, I could notice, like I said, from like I was 6, 7, I could see that when there was kids that were better than other kids at it.
Yeah.
And then I just started to get to a point where I was like, yeah, I didn't want to necessarily be the guy rapping. I didn't want to be the guy singing. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't like people being better than me or something.
Yeah.
You know, like so, like, and like I could feel and see that. And then I think I also started to notice that I had just like I was better at noticing who's better than everybody else. Like, you know, and also like understanding when someone, you know, a lot of times talented people can't see the talent in themselves, and that's what is important about people that are around really talented or the talent, and however you look at that. But in this case, we'll say music artists. Yeah, it's like you're there to also like make sure they understand how important their light is. Right. Oh wow. And it's like when I think that's one thing somebody told me it recently. Is like, you make people who have talent really be proud of it when you notice it in them. You know, and I'm like, and they go, that's your talent. And I was like, I mean, I never looked at it that way, but I appreciate it. Yeah. But yeah, and like I think it's just like one of those things that got fostered over time is like, you know, I might not be the talent in front of the lens, but
it still takes a great deal of talent to recognize when someone
has it, and also make sure somebody continues to believe in themselves. Right. You know, I think a lot of the times people quit because they stop believing in themselves, or the people around them stop believing in them. And all this shit is crazy to believe that you're gonna be successful in anything anyways. Like, right? Because it's all, you know, you're 1 in 8 billion times. All the sperm in everybody's dad.
We spoke about that too. When we were riding the elevator up to the studio, we kind of talked about it there. And we was like, yo, we're like grinding. He's like, yo, you guys came too far to even stop. Like, you gotta keep going. Like, you gotta see this through. There's no excuse.
Because like once you get it started and you realize it's like,
wait, you get to a point
you can't slow down.
And especially now, because things are now inscribed in like
it's in the internet.
Yeah, in the internet.
It's just forever.
For as long as there's electricity, your shit is out there. So it's like, damn, am I gonna quit? Because then like yeah, that's out there too.
That's what happened to those guys.
Yeah, no. So it's an interesting part of it.
So, you know, you talked about the tank a little bit and how you and your business partner gifted these to each other for doing so well. This is your business partner in Bad Habit.
Correct.
How did you guys link, just for the people to understand the context, and found Bad Habit?
Yeah. So originally I never actually wanted to do the business side of the music industry. Just because, like I said, I've been around it when I was really young. A lot of people I was close to, their families were doing it in the music industry. And I got to meet people, be a part of it. And I've always wanted to get into the entertainment industry in general. It's just like I said, it's something that speaks to me. But the guys that I started to be like, damn, I'm look like me and I look up to, and when I try to like have those conversations with them, it wasn't reciprocated. It was almost like, I don't want to say they were offended. It was just like, there was like
it's them and nobody.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And like, I understand it now looking back on it, because it's probably so hard for them to even get their foot in the door in the building. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, I'm always been pretty opinionated, and I believed in my taste. Sure. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I had. So there was definitely like early on, the people that I would go to like maybe help get to that next place, it just wasn't reciprocated.
Right.
So I started to be like, man, fuck these industry guys. Like I'm just gonna focus on the creative.
Yeah.
So then I became really, really focused on the creative. I got like my whole, even like the whole Baus thing, like the reason it's spelled B-A-U-S is like I was obsessed with Rick Ross. Like there was a point where every day me and my friends would just listen to Trilla top down. And just drive around LA dreaming. Probably when I was like 6. I got my car when I was 16. Like second I could get a car, I got a car.
He's very inspirational.
Yeah, oh my God. Especially at that point, we were just driving around listening to Trilla top down. And he'd say Baus. You know? So like people would just like, you would drive, if I was within 100 feet of you, you're in my car, you're hearing that high, all windows down. But I was also like I said, I was studying art. So like Bauhaus and all these things were like things that I was like kind of taking in for the first time, and really just trying to shape my understanding of how art and design and all these things around us formed, and why we do certain things, or why this table is shaped like this. And, and even our watches, everything is like, there's so much history to how design and everything in our modern world got here. I just started studying it pretty young. And then I became like a creative director. So the first artist like I really, really fully dove into was The Neighborhood, which is how I met my business partner. He was The Neighborhood's manager. I was their creative director from pretty much before they even put out their first album. Like the first video they did for their big song called Sweater Weather, co-directed it, did all the production, and really just like dove in on it. And now that's probably one of 20 songs in the world that's passed 2 billion streams on Spotify. Wow. Or maybe one of 20, one of 30. Like, and they are the ones that brought me and Kirk together. And Jesse, the lead singer, he was just somebody who I kind of just, I think Pigeons and Planes posted him on Tumblr at the time. Yeah. And I was just like,
Tumblr, that's a
Tumblr. Tumblr used to be like the place where
Tumblr was it.
It was like a great place to sift and sort and pass information. And Instagram has that kind of, but like there's so much other shit in Instagram that you're not able to like get to some of the information you want. Like you're gonna get so much other stuff that sometimes it's too easy to get distracted on Instagram. Yeah. Where Tumblr, like you got to choose the people you follow and like continue to like sharpen and your knife and the thing, your taste. Yeah. So at the time, Tumblr was everything for me and probably the people in my community. So Pigeons had posted Jesse, and I was like, this kid is kind of sick. And at that time, I think The Weeknd was just starting to pop off. Cudi was popping. And Jesse had put out this project called Truth Hurts, Truth Heals. Okay. And he used to be in punk bands and all that kind of stuff. But he also used to rap. Right. And at that time, like the whole white rapper thing was popping. It was like Sammy Adams, Hoodie Allen, G-Eazy. Yeah. And I'm sure he was looking at like, it's my turn. You know what I'm saying? You know, and he could rap. He was not like he couldn't rap, but it was the melodic stuff that he was doing that was really interesting. That kind of leaned towards what, you know, Weeknd, Cudi.
What was coming up.
Yeah, you know, Drake even at that time. So I was like, this kid's really, really sick. I was like, yo, I just hit him like, yo, if you really want to come to LA and work with some people that make music like you should come to LA and like, I fuck with you and I can put you in touch with all that kind of stuff. And he's like, all right, cool, let's do it. So he came and we just created a relationship. And then he started forming the band. I think he was like, he realized too, and then once Kirk started managing him, like, yeah, the rapper thing ain't really my thing. And then he formed the band, The Neighborhood, with dudes from his neighborhood. And created his, you know, used his community to build around him.
Yeah.
And that's where Bad Habit kind of really started. I was their creative director. Kirk was managing them. And that was like, we did the first album. I just, you know, did some events, I did some artwork, did the music video for their big song. And they kind of went off and went on tour and became like this huge crossover rock, hip hop, indie band. And I was just in LA doing my thing still. I had like a clothing brand called Made by Us with my girl, and we were in like V-Files and Great and Japan and Selfridges and all this cool stuff. So I, you know, the design and art stuff was still happening for me in that way. And then when he came back and he's like, yo, we're doing our next album. Like, I just want you to be our creative director and really like dive in and do the whole thing. And first thing we did was, he's like, yo, I want to do this mixtape. Like, I want to get back on my rapper shit. I was like, all right, let's do it. I'm like, what you want to do? He's like, at that time, Nip was starting to pop, and I was close with Nip and his camp, and like Scheme, and like a lot of the LA guys. So I was like, all right, I'm like, yeah, we can get you in with all them. And then they made this project called Black and White, but it was like the #0000 and #FFFF.
Yeah.
Because, you know, at that time, everybody on Tumblr, you know, like your
you know your HTML code.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and everything that The Neighborhood did was in black and white. All the music videos, all the artwork, when they got syndicated on Jimmy Kimmel for the first time in black and white.
Right.
You know, they got, and if they, you know, like when they got Fallon, they said, we just got to be in black and white. They said, can't be in black and white. They said, we're not doing it. So they had kind of like stuck to this motif.
Wow.
So the project was called Black and White. The artwork was half black, half white. Some people stole that afterwards.
Yeah.
But no, it was super cool. And that project, we had a music video for a song called Dangerous that I directed.
Okay.
YG was a feature on the song.
Yeah.
So I linked him with YG. We did the whole thing, and we did it with Complex. And this was like the first like really responsible thing that Jesse gave me to do to fully handle.
Okay.
So we do the video, we shoot it, everything's cool. And then there's a part of it that's animation. Like I brought on somebody I know to do the animation. And the guy says it's gonna take a month to do the animation. I'm like, cool. I'm like, yo, we'll have the video done in 6 weeks.
Right.
6 weeks comes. We have maybe 3 seconds of 30 seconds of animation. And I keep telling Kirk, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. It took me maybe nine more weeks after that 6 weeks to get that video done. And Kirk has the label hitting him, Complex hitting him. Like, what the fuck is good with y'all? And Kirk basically told Jesse never to speak to me again, to cut me off. He's like, bro, that guy's he's a waste man. Basically, like this guy just like shot this video, he doesn't know what he's doing. It was real tough. So I mean, I got the video done, and when it was finally done, we put it out. He was like, well, this is the best video we've done, but I still don't know if I could trust you.
Yeah.
So I ended up flying out here to New York. I went to Soho House for the first time with him, and we sat down with Kirk and with Jesse, and he's like, yo, I really want Matthew to be our creative director. He's like, in front of me, he goes, this guy? This guy who just like ran us around for the last 2 months around with this video and this whole campaign and pushed us back. He goes, yeah, but it was our best video, wasn't it? And he looked at me, he goes, if you ever fuck up again, I'm cutting you. Wow. And I was like, I promise I won't. And we ended up doing that next campaign was for this album called Wiped Out. And as we started rolling out, getting into the album, the band took a little longer to get the album out than was expected. So they were supposed to have a summer album. We didn't end up getting the album out until Halloween, and it was fourth quarter, and they were signed to Columbia. And that fourth quarter, Columbia had to drop a One Direction album, a Beyonce album, a J. Cole album.
Wow.
So I remember one day the marketing person, I called her, and she's just like, yeah, just do whatever you guys want to do. I'm like, I'm pretty busy. Like, this is your budget. Figure it out. And so that's when me and Kirk got really, really close and locked in because like I was basically handling a lot of the marketing and I was on the road with him even on that tour because they already booked their tour. So the idea was that album was supposed to come out and they go on tour, but the album wasn't out. So it was a tour that ended with the album coming out.
Right.
So we went, the tour was called The Flood and the album was called Wiped Out. So we went on the Flood tour and we just started doing the promo. So it started dropping singles, doing the whole thing. At this point, I'm doing everything. I made all the merch, did all our billboards.
So this is like a music exec 101.
Yeah, and imagine like I'm going from like, oh, I'm just gonna be a creative guy to
You're doing everything.
I'm like learning how to do a marketing campaign on the road with a band. Like Jesse at that time, you gotta think they had a really big song that went from being an indie song to being a pop song.
Yeah.
So then they kind of got pushed into being like this pop act thing, which is not really what Jesse had envisioned for them. And this song became like, every time it's like, play that song. Yeah. And it's just like, bro, we're more than the song. Like, I'm fucking over that. I just did that for 2 years for you guys. I went on tour around the whole world, like kind of over this. So he was kind of rebelling at this time against everything that had to do with being a pop act and all that. So I had to also navigate that because Kirk wasn't on the road, I was on the road.
Right.
So I'm like, we were showing up to radio shows and Jesse would walk up and this is all the crowd right here and he would just turn around and do the whole performance with his back to the audience.
Holy shit.
Because he just like, he was going through mental health issues. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, again, like he's never been put in that position and like when you have, and he's like an endless creative. Like he can't, it's almost like unfair because like he's constantly has ideas. He could look at this camera and then all of a sudden have
he's just gonna keep coming up.
Yeah, it's always hitting him, Yeah, so to all of a sudden your creativity's boiled down to just one thing.
Right.
It's like, oh yeah, do that Sweater Weather song. You're like, bro, I got a new album coming out that I want to do those songs.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Do the Sweater Weather song. And you're like, yeah, all right, I'll do the Sweater Weather song. He'll sing it on a whole different melody. You know what I'm saying? So it was, so we're dealing with that and the label was not happy about that. And back then, mental health awareness for your artists or your clients was not a thing. Yeah. So you're getting calls from people up top like, yo, he does that one more time, we're cutting y'all. We're cutting the budget, we're cutting everything. So it was an interest, it was definitely music industry, music executive 101 right there. And at that same time, I was actually developing another artist back in LA by the name of Nash. And it was so funny. Right before I went on tour with the neighborhood, I sat down with Kirk. I'm like, yo, I think we got a hit. And I had this car where the speakers had all just blown out. Yeah. So I had like my BlackBerry at the time. And I'm like, yo, I play him the song on my BlackBerry speaker like this in my car with the windows down. And it's like this, the song is called I Hate You, I Love You. And it was a hip hop ballad, lo-fi record.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, okay, like when something happens, just let me know.
Sure.
Wow. A week and a half into tour, that song went #1 on like SoundCloud and was like viral top 50 on Spotify.
Wow.
And at that time, it was like when Snapchat, like when Kylie and all them were making shit pop off on Snapchat. So there was some girl that was like a makeup person who rapped his whole verse on her Snapchat. And she was like a makeup person in Indiana. And like in one city in Indiana, we sold 8,000 singles that day. So the next day, every label hit me up and I didn't know why, but I could tell, I was like, oh, something's going on. So then I called Kirk. I'm like, yo, dude, it's happening. Like everybody's hitting me up. And I still had that taste in my mouth of, I didn't want to deal with industry people. I didn't trust A&Rs. And he prior to us doing our thing and him becoming like a manager, he was a senior vice president of international marketing for Universal for 10 years. So he
has all that experience.
He had major experience, and he's from New Zealand originally. So he has an immense backstory, and he's done it in this industry. So I knew that, and I respected that. So I went to him.
So it's safe to say he was kind of like your mentor.
He was my mentor. Yeah, he was my mentor. He was somebody I look up to, and we became business partners. So I went to him like, dude, this is actually happening. I showed him the numbers. I showed everything was happening. I was like, I want to take these meetings, but I don't want to do them dolo, and I want to go straight to the top. And he goes, you're right. He goes, I can get everybody. So every label that was like kind of reaching out, I sent it to him. He went to all their CEOs and goes, this is what's happening. was good. So we ended up sitting down with everybody, all the CEOs, the artists. So I was like flying out like one day at a time on tour to go do a meeting, then fly back on tour with the band.
So now you're doing label work.
So now I'm doing the label work, and I'm also learning how to be a manager and like navigate deals, and we're having publishing conversations and label conversations. Mind you, that song, I Hate You, I Love You, is another one of the top 20 or 30 songs that have passed 2 billion streams.
Crazy.
As well. So
this moment, you know, if we can encapsulate this, all of this friction happening, all this excitement really brought the two of you guys
together. Yeah. So he, at that same time, was getting a bunch of offers because he had managed a couple clients like The Neighborhood that were doing really well, did big deals at various labels. None of his artists were at one place. So a bunch of people were trying to do business with him. So he got an offer from Atlantic to do a record label.
Amazing.
And he comes to me, he goes, you know, you came and you brought this to my table, and I went 50-50. I was like, bro, I just want to get this done and do it right.
Sure.
And learn my shit. He goes, let's do everything 50-50. I got this label thing, we'll do it 50-50. We'll do the management thing 50-50.
That's awesome.
That we bring in. And you gotta think he's like 20 years my senior, if not a little bit more, a little bit less, unless I'm making.
I mean, it's not often that.
But it was like, he goes like, let's do everything 50-50.
I think that's awesome. Listen, it's not often that, you know, not many people are lucky to have that kind of mentor. And then to be able to even like work with someone that closely and build something like you guys have.
No,
it's kind of incredible.
It was the super blessing. Like I've always say, like what Kirk was able to do for me, and maybe what I was able to do for him as well, was like we helped each other and helped diversify our minds and our worlds and everything around us.
Yo, you know Bezel just launched auctions?
Really?
Yeah, they did. You could bid on watches inside the app. They give you notifications on auction drops, and it's still authenticated. Oh, shoot, I won.
Yo, what you win?
Man, don't worry about me, man. Go download the app. Go visit getbezel.com.
Oh, come on, man.
In life, there are choices and options. Choices set the tone. Options change the mood. And while you aren't able to drive 2 cars, you can, however, travel with 2 watches. Introducing the Shuttle, a traveling watch case in collaboration with WCP and Wolf. Godspeed.
Available at wristcheckpod.com.
I mean, it speaks to why you guys gifted each other these watches.
Yeah, man. And like, dude, it's like.
So I want to get into, you know, it's very clear that you're a watch guy now.
Yeah.
You like watches.
I do.
When was the moment that you realized, like, okay, this is something that I ought to pay attention to?
It's a funny story. It actually took me a while, because even once we started making, because like even when we did that national, we got a pretty nice check off of it and all this stuff. And I never in my mind was like, I'm gonna spend any amount of money, especially thousands and thousands of dollars on a watch on my wrist.
Sure.
That concept had not clicked in my head at all. And shortly after we did the Nash thing and I got off tour and we got the label deal, we started focusing on the label. So the first artist we signed to the label was Burna.
Sure.
I found Burna. Once I realized he was Nigerian, we connected and we did the whole thing. We signed Burna probably 6 months after. So we formed Bad Habit, maybe it was like June 2016.
Okay.
Met Burna in November 2016 and the deal was done by like March 2017 some point. So Burna was like my focus at like from jump. It was like, that was my first signing. It was like, so me and him locked in. That was like my brother from, we got really, really close really quick. And as we started getting successful and doing everything, the first thing that he ever purchased that like meant something to him was this iced out AP.
Nice.
Audemars.
Iced all the way out, bust down. I remember, I was probably like 75, 80K at the time.
Okay.
And like, he worked hard for this. He went on tour. Like, it was like, you know, we put out Outside, the mixtape. He was working outside. Probably took a year before Ye, which was on Outside, to like actually pick up traction outside of, you know, Africa. And we had some buzz in the UK. So he really, really was working his ass off. He was saving everything. So he got this AP. So by the before the end of 2017, like right before the end of 2017. And we went to Nigeria, and this was going to be his first headline show in Lagos on Christmas. And my birthday's on Christmas.
Wow.
So, we go out there, everything's been good. He's doing the shows, he's doing his thing. So Christmas Day, we had gone to Ghana the day before and we flew back in. And we're driving back to his crib. And at this time, he didn't have the full security he has now. So we got held up in one spot. And if you know anything about Lagos traffic, especially back then, like things have changed so much, so crazy. But back then, it was just fucking crazy.
Right.
You couldn't move, you couldn't go anywhere. If there was, especially from the airport to getting into the city, going from mainland to get to the islands was crazy. Maybe it could take 2-3 hours.
Wow.
For a 10-mile drive.
Crazy.
Wow. So it was taking forever to get to his crib, and we had gone, I think we've gone past mainland, or we were about to get to the bridge to Lekki, and the car wasn't moving, and Burna had a couple securities, they were trying to move people around, and they weren't doing nothing. So Burna, he just starts getting hot, takes off all his jewelry, puts it into the middle console of the car. And I was about to hop out the car. I'm like, dog, dude, don't hop out the car. Let's just get back in the car. He's like, no, we need to go. Like, these people don't know what they're doing. I'm going to get them to move. He goes, I'm like, dude, come back. So we finally move. We get back. We get to his crib. And that night, he had like 3 shows that night for Christmas. So we go back to the crib. We change, we shower. And then we're about to go. And he goes, yo, where's my watch? I'm like, you left it in the center console in the car. And he goes, all right, let me go get it. He goes, it's not there.
Oh.
So then he starts looking around, starts asking everybody. Couldn't find it.
Wow.
He was hot.
Yeah, I bet.
I can't even
$80 grand.
He was hot. Like, he was hot. He was sad. He was so emotional. And I'm like, bruh, I know it was expensive, but I'm like,
it's just a thing.
I'm like, it's just like a thing. Like, you have like a lot of nice things in car. He had just gotten he had other things. I was like, it's just a thing. But he was emotional. He was devastated. He's like, I remember he looked at me, he goes, bruh, I can't do this show tomorrow. They took away my superpowers. And he can get, anybody can get dramatic, but I know he was being he was being a bit extra, but he was also like emotionally devastated. Like,
right.
Imagine you work so hard for something that actually has meaning to you. And it was like what this means to me now, or what it meant to him, was like capturing a moment of time.
Yeah, it wasn't about the money.
It wasn't about the money. It was like, I have done the work to get to a place where I can comfortably do this for myself and continue to provide and do my shit for my family and everybody around me. And for that to be taken away from me in a split second.
Right.
Wow.
On the day before he was going to do his first performance in Lagos ever. Like, which was a big deal. Like, and if you know anything about Nigerians, we're very, I don't want to say show-offy, but we like to
shine.
Yeah. We're a land of, if you know everything about Africans, it's a land of kings and queens, like still, like, that's where that's where our original mentality is. And, that's why I think a lot of times you still see the jewelry and everything now.
Yeah.
So it's that braggadociousness is a instilled part of the Nigerian culture.
Right.
Probably more than anywhere else in Africa. And we have the vim and the vigor to hold it down.
Right.
Yeah.
So for him to not have that right then, when he was like, yo, I'm about to go to Lagos for the first time and shut it down on these, they're going to see. I was like, dude, it took me a while, but then I felt him on such a high level.
Right.
And like, that watch was a big, big deal to him. And that actually changed my whole mind on, like, dude, I bought the first watch I bought was actually the Root Beer, which I guess out of all these is the most expensive.
Well, let's talk about it. So you did bring some watches.
Yeah.
So this is the first piece you're saying you got.
Yep.
I imagine you use this a great deal still.
Oh, yeah. This one.
So what, when did you, obviously you knew about Rolex.
Yeah.
We all know about Rolex. We grew up with Rolex.
100%.
But when were you like, oh, GMT, Root Beer?
I guess it wasn't really about the style or the body at the time. I just wanted something different even.
Okay.
Like, I've always just I'm an aesthetic, art, design person first before understanding functionalities and complications.
Yeah, it gotta look good.
You know what I'm saying? It gotta look good. It gotta feel good. And to me, like, these are all like, they're like mini art pieces that attach to your body, you know?
100%.
So when I saw the root beer for the first time, I saw like the rose gold dual tone. Cause I saw the all rose gold one, and I'm like, that's too gaudy. Like I'm like, I can't do. I could have got it at the time. It probably would have. Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely appreciate it. So it would have made bread, but I was just like, that ain't me. I'm like, I never bought an old all gold, or I just didn't see it. And then like the way that the bezel has that rose gold undertone, so whenever you move it, like it actually is it's all there. And I was just like, I was super enamored by it. And it felt so different, and it wasn't anything that anybody around me had. Again, because everybody was buying, especially back then everything was bust down everything. So they're like, why aren't you getting the Sky Dweller bust down or this bust down? I was like, bro, I'm not that guy. Like, you're not gonna see me wear a bust down.
And here's a piece that's actually practical.
It was practical.
You're traveling a lot. You're going.
But even for me, like it was still felt kind of like it was like this was like $20K. So I was like, it's $20K on your wrist. I'm like, that's kind of It just said it still seemed like a lot. But to me, it was understated, and it was still beautiful, and it just like the black on the top, the brown on the bottom, and it just felt like it still felt like an art piece.
This is your first watch, your first Rolex.
This is my first Rolex, my first watch I purchased for myself. And it was just.
How did it make you feel when you got that?
Like a boss. I swear to God. I remember I put it on, and I was like, again, it captured that moment of like, this was my first. Time being able to do something for myself that showed that I had, I don't want to say succeeded, but I'd been able to do something that probably shouldn't happen. You know what I'm saying? Out of the 8 billion people in the world, how many are like really able?
It's like you had proof of your work.
Yes, you know what I'm saying? It was proof of concept. You know what I'm saying?
So did the opportunity to get it kind of fall into your lap, or did something happen and you were like, I need to buy something for the shit?
No, I actually because from when I saw it, I had to work really, really hard to get it. But one of my closest friends growing up, his family they owned a small boutique watch shop in Koreatown, actually, right on 8th and Western. But they had all the like before everybody. They had the Patek relationship, they had the Cartier relationship, they had the Rolex. But they were a small shop, but they were getting everything. And I remember, one day I went to him. I'm like, yo, I really want to get this watch. He goes, oh, dude, everybody wants that watch. It's gonna be hard to get it. I was like, can you guys get it or not? He goes, I can get it. So, I went. So one day I went and sat down with his mom and dad who owned the shop, and I was just like, I really, really want to get this watch. Like, I got the bread ready. How are we gonna get it? They're like, all right, just wait a couple weeks and we'll figure it out. Okay. Within like 3-4 weeks, they call me. They're like, send the wire right now. Wow. Sent the wire right then. 2 days later, the watch was in the shop.
That's awesome.
Brand new box, papers, everything. And I was just like, I remember when I put it on my wrist. I went to my dad. He actually teared up because, it just like one of those things.
I mean, it's when you explain their stories and
they're just like
the culmination of everything.
They get it as like, and he's also like, you need to buy a house.
But the other thing too, like tying it back to your parents, is like you said that everything they learned about American culture was through pop culture.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's how we know that Rolex is a symbol of success.
100%.
So I guess him seeing that on your wrist, it was like, holy shit. It's like, we did it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's huge, dude.
Yeah,
I mean, he gets to look at you having this moment. He's like, he's looking and he's like, I did the right thing.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So you got there's another piece here. And this is interesting. It's another Rolex. Yep. But now you're getting into vintage.
Yep.
I'm curious, when did this start? I believe this is a 1601 Datejust.
It is.
Yep. It's got the step dial. I actually own one of these. I have a blue dial version of this. One of my favorite watches.
The blue dial is beautiful.
There is this is one of my favorite Rolex references.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's classic, and it's pristine, and it's sexy, and it's like, but it's also, again, for me, subtlety is important.
Yeah.
And this feels like jewelry.
Yeah.
More than anything.
Don't always say that jewelry is for jewelry.
Yeah. No, that's fine. That's the only bracelet that belongs to. I always say shit is no good.
It always just felt like a jewelry piece. I think the reason why this is important, this was the nicest gift I've ever gotten from somebody.
Oh, this okay.
So the mother of my son gave this to me as a birthday gift.
Did she double up Christmas and your birthday?
Because she heard enough of the stories. Like I got to the point where I actually don't even really like gifts. Like I always just gift myself what I want.
Yeah,
I don't really expect much from anybody. I just want to have a good time. It's
sure.
And Christmas in Nigeria, if you know anything about that, is just one long party. So I'm just like, let's go have a good time. You
Yeah,
don't need to give
exactly.
me anything, I'm cool. If I need to get it, I'll get it. But she got me this, and I was like, dang, that is crazy. I think it was actually from the year I was born, which is 1989.
Wow.
Which was really special. So I was like, dang, nobody ain't never got me a gift this nice. So it was really, really special to me. And for her to like figure that out, she's like, I know you're way more into like the stylish vintage stuff. Like she knew that when I got the root beer, it was more for I wanted to be in the same. I wanted to be in the same scene and world as like what I was seeing, but I still wanted to be me. But this was actually way more me than the root beer probably. So it was really special. Which is So this was the first really, really, really nice gift somebody got for me. Wow. And
I want to ask you, as someone who is a lover of design, art. What does Rolex mean to you in terms of art and design, aesthetics?
I mean, I feel like when you close your eyes and you think of a watch, you think of Rolex, and it's like when you can create that kind of reference point, it's like when you think of, I need a car ride, you say Uber.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like
that's an amazing point.
And like to me, that's what Rolex kind of is. Like when you think of like, oh, I'm gonna get a nice watch, the first thing that comes to your mind is the Rolex. You know what I'm saying? It's probably like you're probably seeing a gold Prezi.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
that's probably the first thing that comes to mind. Like I even remember, I think it's in Trading Places with Eddie Murphy. Like I think the first time like he comes out, he's wearing a gold Prezi. It's like. It just became like that status symbol. And I think that's what Rolex design, look, everything about it is like. And it's not overdone, especially like the Prezi and this Datejust. It's like, they're not too heavy.
Especially on like the vintage models too. 100%. There's something about it, I just feel like
classic.
Period is
it just creates this classic nature. And like, I feel like I can wear this with any outfit, any look. So aesthetically, it's just, I think it is the classic, and it's like that thing where you reference it as this is the design model that you're trying to, that comes to mind. Yeah.
No, I love it, man. Especially, I think the 1601 to me is kind of like, everyone's using the term quiet luxury now. It kind of like, especially like that reference.
Yeah.
Because if you're out with your friends or other watch collectors, guys that are getting like the current, the modern stuff, they're not thinking that reference.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? 100%. They're thinking, oh, that's the old stuff. But that's like, this is classic.
Yeah. No, I mean, and like, things always come back around. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like things that are classic and things that hold time in history. Yeah. And something that was great will always be great if it's truly great.
And you got an amazing memory attached to it.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%. And like, again, like that, we're just talking about aesthetic, but when it comes to memory, like definitely I think all the pieces I brought all have like real, I think that's why I brought them. They all have real memories in terms of sentimental value beyond, what they are or what they look like or and all that jazz, I guess. But
it's a beautiful piece.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I mean, this is...
So
after this, I was like, man, I'm gonna have to stay on vintage.
Yeah. Well, we can hook you up with some right people. You
kind of stayed on brand because now you busted out the Basculante.
So you brought 2 Rolexes and then 2 Cartiers. So this is, I didn't really know too much about this piece up until maybe a couple of months ago. I'm still, I know enough about Cartier, but there's so much more to learn. I mean, all the time. Yeah, and this is a piece that I know that the gentleman sitting next to you.
I have one.
He has really.
I haven't busted it out on the show yet.
He hasn't worn it yet.
I'm doing something special to it.
Okay.
It was supposed to be a pretty simple engraving and it turned into something else now.
Okay. Okay. So it's a project.
Serious?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just gonna be an engraving that I haven't even shared on the show yet, but Tristan helped me come up with the engraving.
Okay.
Someone very special helped me come up with the font.
Okay.
And now I was like, you know what? I'm gonna keep going.
I gotta take this.
Yeah.
Wow. I like that.
So I added something else. So when I finally bust out on the show, it's gonna be wild.
Okay. Sick.
I can't wait to see it.
If I'm gonna give a hint, I took design cues from Al Capone. That's what
Okay.
So,
like that.
Yeah.
So he's trying to boss it out for real.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the guy to do it.
Yeah, no, this watch is beautiful. It's elegant. It's it and again, I like simple. Like even like being able to go to this like
Yeah.
this
I've been fidgeting with this
you know
all week.
Yeah.
I just do this when I'm bored.
Oh, dude, I mean, bro, like
Yeah.
if this is on my wrist, now I'm like, I could be on phone call.
But that's more fun though, because you keep flipping it.
Yeah, this
It's like
one
a
you
fidget
just,
spinner.
Yeah,
It
no,
doesn't
it just
stop.
like it just keeps going and going.
What's cool too is about that piece, just with that function right there, it's something I feel like, you know, in certain places where you might be like, I don't want anyone to know I'm wearing a Cartier.
Yeah.
You flip
just
that
flip
joint
it over.
They have no
Yeah.
idea what it is.
You know what's funny? So I didn't get this too long ago. I was in the studio with Burna, funny enough, and he looks at me. He looks at the watch. He looks at me. He goes, "Nigga, you just like other kind of shit."
That's how they something Ben would say.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm glad that you finally realized. So when you give me a gift, you better not give me that same.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No. But it was like he was like, no, but like I don't look at like a Richard Mille and be like, I really want that.
I feel this.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there's no disrespect. Well, except for maybe that Ferrari one that Pharrell has.
Hell yeah.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
love that
You know what I'm
fucking
saying?
watch.
If I had 1.2 to drop on the
Sure.
watch,
Yo, that's
It'd be
what
that
I'm
you know what I'm
one.
saying? That's the one I'm
That's what I'm
doing.
getting.
But other than that, it's never been for me. But like when he got super into it, and I watched everybody got so excited and the whole thing, I was always just like, I started looking more. At that time is when I started getting really into Cartiers.
Mm,
I was actually he talked me out of buying a Crash.
really?
Whoa.
Like right before COVID, this guy. Right before COVID, I had it on me.
Right.
And I seen one, and it was like, I think it was like, it's probably 60, 65K. And I showed it to him. I'm like, do you think this is worth it? Because like he'd gotten a couple more watches, and he was more in like, still more engaged with the whole thing than I was.
Yeah.
He goes, bro, are you dumb? Like, why are you gonna waste your money on that? He goes, what is that? Is that for a girl? And I'm like,
He does.
I'm like, dude, you know what?
Do you ever like rub that in his face now?
Yes. What do you mean? Right, when he had this conversation, I was like, bro, you remember?
Wow.
And he goes, no, you just do your thing. You got like, you always gonna do your thing and you have your vibe. And cause like, yeah, from the way I dress to what I like, and it's just like, I don't think I'm the most unique person in the world. I just have like my taste in the things I
Sure.
like. And I just like I like things to continue to feel like art. You know what I'm saying? For me.
And Cartier has a really great way of doing that.
Oh,
with their
dude,
design language.
all my like right now, the things I want watches, like I guess they're all Cartiers. Like, now I'm like, I gotta get a Crash at some point.
Yeah.
They've just gone to such
They're
a crazy
$250,000
place.
at
They're
least.
yeah, like you're like 220, 232.
Yeah.
I'm like,
We got to introduce you to our friend Tristan.
okay.
He's he's the founder of the company, men's grooming company, Bezel.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Amazing Cartier
Yeah.
collector.
Oh,
He's,
dude.
we talk pretty often. He's getting into something crazy right now.
The driver's
wanna-
piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, as he sent it to me.
Yeah, he sent me a wristwatch. He's like,
I'll
I
show
need
you a
to get
picture
this.
of it after the show.
Okay.
It's crazy. But he collects like
No,
exclusively like vintage Cartier.
Oh, dude, and like I mean, I think the number one over the Crash for me is the tank Aguiche.
Oh my God.
The jump.
If I was a rich man,
that one, the platinum
if
jump.
I was a rich man,
because that one,
I wanted it in yellow gold though.
yeah, the yellow gold. I like the platinum one.
They dropped one in the early 2000s, CPCP yellow gold with a
I
ruby
saw that.
cabochon.
Yeah,
And that's,
yeah.
oh
Yeah,
my
see.
God.
No, it's a beautiful.
Yeah,
piece.
that's one that if they were like, yo, we'll make you a watch. I'm like,
that's the one, 100%. So like it's that, the Crash, and then I think it's the Tank Century.
Centuries in the nice.
Century,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I seen some custom
They brought
ones.
one back recently.
Yeah, I seen some custom ones in platinum that had like the Arabic
Yeah,
dial
Arabic,
and like the crazy like the red crocodile
Mm-hmm.
wrist. I was like, it wasn't even red. It was snake. It was red snake.
Yeah.
I was like, bruh, that is
When
next
Ben,
level.
when we had Ben Clymer on the show, he busted out a one blue dial Century that he wore.
Yeah, it
to
was
the
like
Cartier
indigo
opening.
blue. It was
never-
crazy.
next level.
It almost looked black unless you were like,
Yeah, I was like, well, yeah, because they have another one.
Yeah.
They have a tank that has that same
kind of,
that had same like indigo gray black
Yeah.
kind of dial. Yeah, so those would probably be my top three right now. So I got to show patience.
How did this one come into your life?
So I'd been looking for it for a bit,
Okay.
but the ones that I had, like I was like watching one was like they were overpricing it, so I was like, all right, I'm like, if I get it, I just know I'll be splurging on it. And then when I saw this one with the band, like this tan band, and I was like, it's actually really beautiful.
Yeah.
And it sits subtle, like when you wear it, it just sits subtle, especially with my skin tone. Probably the same with you. It's just like feels like it's a part of you kind of thing. Like it just so when you see it, people can't really tell you're wearing it, but once they see it, they're like, what is that? That's really nice. It's like it just creates that conversation of like they could tell it's way more of like a
let me ask you, because you made an interesting point, this becoming sort of like a conversation piece.
Yeah.
I'm curious. This is something I ask a lot of collectors. But I'm curious, in your profession, do you see watches as having an impact on your business personally?
I mean, I could tell you that day we lost the AP, it impacted my.
I know that. Well, I guess what I mean
replace
is,
it? Huh? Did he ever replace it?
I mean, he's replaced it with many things now. Yeah. I feel like he just recently got the fully factory AP bust down.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a bad boy.
Nice. Well, I guess what I meant by the question is, like,
but he hadn't gotten an AP since then. So he
literally replaced it with the same thing, just factory.
But the other one was not. So, that was like
So, I mean, this one, this one's infinitely.
No. This is like the real. Yeah, no, the one he has now is like the one he. Yeah,
Larry June would call it the whoopty.
Oh, yeah.
The whoopty.
He got the big whoopty. Shout out David Ali as well. That's my guy.
Yeah. Oftentimes, these things serve as like really great icebreakers.
100%. They're conversation makers, and like I would say, within our business, again, I think it's just one of those things that based off of what you're buying and how you're wearing it. It's just an expression of your taste. Yeah. And I work in such a taste business, especially for what we are known for. Like Bad Habit, I think the two things that we're known for best is our taste. Yeah. In terms of the kind of artists we work with, and then our ability to develop talent from when you don't know them to becoming some of the biggest things in the world. Right. Like The Neighborhood is one of the biggest bands on the planet, period, right now. Yeah. But when we started with them, Jesse was a white rapper. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that's obviously no disrespect to him, but it's just like that progression of like starting with someone and seeing the talent and then building it all the way. So like I think it is an expression, like what we wear and what we put on us is just an expression of like our perspective on the world and what we like, and that helps your clients and the people you work with understand, make them feel more understood too.
I think that's a great point, because the way that we started this conversation, sort of talking about your background and you growing up in LA and developing that skill and that talent to identify talent, talented people, you are showing that that's not isolated to being one-dimensional. It's right. Like your taste is expansive in the sense of like knowing talent in people, art, design,
100%,
watches, 100%. And it brings it all together. And I can see why people are why Bad Habit is doing so well.
Yeah, no, I mean it's exactly that. It's just like it's a form of expression of how we look at the world, you know what I'm saying? Like how you dress and what you put on you and all that kind of stuff. Like even if you keep it super, super simple and you're Steve Jobs in a black turtleneck, it's still a statement. You know what I'm saying?
It's a choice.
It's still a statement. You know what I'm saying? So no matter how you look at it, like we're constantly expressing ourselves. We're constantly communicating with each other without words. Whether it's body language, what you wear, how you do your hair, all these stuff. What shape your glasses are. All these things are all like constantly ways that you're trying to help people understand who you are without sitting down and be like, I'm all into this and I do this, I do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's just
people
like,
can tell us by looking at
you. Yeah, people can look at you and be like, oh, okay, I kind of understand.
I get it.
You know what I'm saying? And I think it's important to be able to understand yourself and be able to express yourself and let the things that you do be true to who you are and what you want people to understand about yourself. You know, a lot of times, again, like it was like probably out of these, the root beer still feels the most non-me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I had to learn that by, you know, buying it and wearing
Trial and
it.
error.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, so yeah. But I mean, I love it. And I love everything it represents to me, and I still wear it all the time. But again, it's like, I think, yeah, we're just here trying to express ourselves.
100%. My man, Matthew, this has been fantastic. I want to say thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Dude.
I think you have an amazing story. I think you have amazing taste. You know, the 1601 was the one, we didn't talk about that. And I was very, very excited to see that.
Yeah.
That's a solid piece with an amazing story. Thank you for coming out tonight, my man.
Oh my God, thank you.
Appreciate you. We'll have to have you back next time you visit New York as a co-host. We'll talk about some
you know,
we'll talk about some watch trivia.
And, you know, we'll see what I got going on then.
Exactly.
You know, I can't come back with the same stuff the way this going. So yeah, no, we'll see.
Have a whole new role.
We should go to Nigeria and figure it out.
Oh, we should.
We should.
We should do it.
I'm down.
There you
Okay,
go.
well, you heard it here
Christmas?
first.
Wrist check
Christmas
pod
in
this
Nigeria.
Christmas.
Nigeria.
I
That'd be
mean, you
fire.
guys, if you want to see some watches,
Let's do it.
come
All right.
to Nigeria so everybody can understand what's really going down.
All right.
Okay.
Let's make it happen.
Wrist check on the road.
I love it.
Listen, you ain't gonna see no wrist like that before.
Yeah. For those watching and listening, you guys know where to find us. You know, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, audio and visual, YouTube, the works.
Yes.
Maybe one day
In the metaverse.
Not the metaverse, but this Christmas you can find us in
we can
Nigeria.
be-
But you definitely see us in Nigeria.
We can definitely be in Nigeria for sure.
We'll make that happen. This has been real. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.
Deuces.